We actually first met White Whale right here at Juegos Rancheros meetup, maybe last November or something, when they were just starting work on the game, and it's been shaping up amazingly since then, as you sort of have seen so far. So in just a second, we will have George and Joe and Jason and Adrian up here. And before we do that, thanks again for coming out. Hope to see you again every month. Thanks to Highball for hosting these. Everybody say thanks to the Highball for hosting these.
Yay, Highball!
And now welcome everybody to the stage.
Hey, is this, oh, it is on. Okay.
I guess we go over here.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to drive this thing. So, hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out, and thank you so much to Highball and Juegos, and honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, to the entire community here, without whom this game wouldn't be a quarter of what it is. It's meant a world to us. And I'm George, and this is Adrian and Jason and Joe, and collectively we're White Whale. And we just started work almost a year ago on our first game, God of Blades, which is sort of our love song to the sort of fantastic alien style of wide-eyed, sort of awe-inspiring cosmic psychedelic fantasy that sort of ran from 30s to the 70s in popular culture. And to sort of show you where we began with some of our art inspirations and things like that, this is still from Frazetta and Bakshi's Fire and Ice, and these sort of sweeping alien vistas that you recognize as not being anywhere you have been or could possibly be, but are immediately readable and understandable. We found them so compelling and tried to boil that down. This is Roger Dean, who did the Yes album covers, right, Jason? Yeah, it's totally awesome.
And all the Psygnosis game
All the Psygnosis game covers, things like Shadow of the Beast and those great things. And this is, of course, Mobius, who inspires everyone. And then maybe, lastly, our greatest inspiration, Frank Frazetta, who guided a lot of the inspiration in our process throughout the thing. And God of Blades is a side-scrolling, sort of physically emergent slasher that deals with issues of loss and memory and culture. And one of the things that we took as a design and sort of thematic inspiration early on were these concepts of worlds and memory and loss. And the lens we chose to talk about these things through is the medium of the paperback novel, which specifically the fantasy or sci-fi paperback novel that have all these elaborate, intricate, built, well-loved worlds that are quickly printed, quickly distributed, and quickly forgotten. And so our world takes place in our game world takes place in a setting where everything is disappearing in the void, and it's all about memory and identity and journey. So those are real. These are ours. So we didn't have an IP, we had no money when we started, we kind of still don't. That's cool. So we just made our own, and we built a rich mythology, and we'll have prints of these available, I think, probably for everybody, and certainly for people who get to play Slayers. And we did some scans of our production work. We went through many months of building the style of the world, and it just, I won't even go into it because it's ridiculous, but this is some of Jason's work. Jason has really been burning the midnight oil, doing an amazing job building out our visions of this world. These are some of the environments that you journey through as the protagonist. And then for this Juegos, we worked like crazy people this week to put together Slayers, which is the 2-player feature, which will be on the PC and Mac release, where you take on the roles of enemy troops from the main campaign, training against each other in this sort of desolate wasteland to see who's fit to go pit their strength against the hero of the main campaign. And the last thing I would add is that, harping on the theme of books and memory, we've built a system into the iOS release that detects when you're at libraries and there are certain swords that you get, each of which have their own sort of stories and traits and characteristics, and they actually function like characters in a fighting game that you can only get by going to libraries. So you guys should buy the game, go to libraries, find crazy books with like cat people wizards on the cover, take pictures of them and tweet them at us, because it will make us smile across all time and space. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you enjoy Slayers and God Blades. Thank you.
Are there any questions, by the way? Just before we start slaying?
What's the release date?
Summer, late summer.
How will the single player campaign differ from?
Oh, we have that running on the iPad over here, so everybody can come see that too. It's sort of a mix between a rhythm game and a tactical sword fighting game, where you play as a crazy ghost that looks like David Bowie. So that's slightly different. But.
Can you describe the mechanics of the combat?
Yes. When we started designing the game, we originally had this sort of, this type of swipe beats that type of swipe, and this whole hierarchy of states. And then Adrian came on board and he was like, well, why don't we just make all of the sword fighting actually physical and remove that sort of rigid system and just make it physics going at it. And we tried out a lot of different ways to do that, but basically we boiled it down to 3 attacks and 1 block. So the block is time, so you can't just hurtle and go backwards. The game is all about forward momentum. But beyond building a system that worked really well and let you feel really powerful, we wanted something that also spoke to the style that we were talking about before. And so we didn't want it to feel like you were fencing. We didn't want to feel like you were playing Soul Calibur. We wanted to feel like you were in the sword fight at the end of Fire and Ice or Conan the Barbarian, where these giant weapons are like arcing through the air and making this ridiculous heavy noise as they clang against each other. And that was where we started. We wanted that feeling, and the physics just got us there. So you really do feel that like, that kind of like crazy weight to everything, almost like the swords are pulling you in a way because they're so heavy and powerful, which was something we got from Michael Moorcock and Elric books and Storybrand and all that stuff too. So we went back to literature a lot, actually, just for the sword fighting.
Big thanks again to Adrian for that magnificent contribution. He was also a world champion robot soccer programmer, by the way. His robot soccer team is #1 on the planet. And also a special thank you to our composer Justin Kovar, who really knocked it out of the park. And I believe he is here somewhere. I've been informed that there he is. He really did a lot of amazing things to sell this world musically, and it makes a world of difference. And also thanks to Bobby and Tyler for doing incredible work. And you guys are probably tired of hearing us talk at this point. I know I am. So I think we should just get back to slaying. So thank you so much, everybody.
I'll have some prints nearby, so if you guys really like our really cool, trippy pulp fantasy covers, come talk to me and I'll hook you up with some really cool posters. All right, later.